Prince Edward Island is, and has been, a leader in environmental stewardship. We believe islanders are creative, hard-working, and committed to climate leadership. Our plan has always been to meet our climate change targets while protecting the pocketbooks and the continuing prosperity of islanders. Today, the federal government announced it has committed to a two-year agreement on climate change with our province. This plan will meet our climate change targets and not burden islanders. In fact, islanders will continue to save through our incentives. We have been consistent to offer islanders more affordable ways to reduce their energy consumption. That plan is working, and islanders are saving money while turning to more environmentally friendly forms of energy. Already, since the commencement of our current plan, 2,100 islanders have taken advantage of the rebate program on heat pumps. Additionally, islanders have saved $10 million and will do so annually with the provincial rebate on electricity. And I might say that rebate has been a centerpiece of how the federal government has viewed our climate change plan and our approach, what that we call carrots, not sticks, and their assessment of how well our plan will succeed. The federal government has recognized the success of our plan, and as a result, home heating fuels on Prince Edward Island will be exempt from any price on carbon. And we consider this a major achievement for Prince Edward Islanders. This means that thanks to our plan, islanders will not pay more to heat their homes. Keeping taxes off home heating is something that our government has championed, and this is not for the first time. While we are pleased to see that the federal government accepted this portion of our plan, we are disappointed, and I might say not happy, that they are requiring a price, an incremental price, on gasoline and diesel. We disagree with this response, and our response will be to offset it so that our plan doesn't cost islanders any additional dollars. Without the incremental charge at the pumps, the federal government made it clear to us in the past few days that islanders would be subjected to the full federal backstop, including being forced to pay more to heat their homes. Our plan, by achieving what we have, will save islanders $38.7 million annually, over $38.7 million directly over 2 years by comparison with the federal backstop. Our government will offset at the price at the pumps, ensure that every single cent is returned to islanders. To be clear, this is in no way about revenue generation. In fact, we will ask the Auditor General to review the funds each year to confirm that every cent has been returned to islanders. The other option, should it have been imposed, the federal backstop, would have resulted in a much greater tax burden for islanders on the order of $46 million over that same 2-year period. And that would include taxes on home heating, which is itself would cost islanders in excess of $18 million. We will also continue, and this is really the heart of our climate change plan and approach and how islanders are responding, to offer incentives and to develop further incentives to reduce emissions from vehicles. Our approach throughout our climate change plan, linked to our energy plan, has been to prefer carrots over sticks, to prefer incentives over penalties. And islanders are responding. Our government stands with islanders in fighting climate change while ensuring our continued clean growth and prosperity and protecting islanders' pocketbooks. We know that islanders are concerned about the environment, from our shrinking shorelines to protecting our water, to the effects of climate change on crops, to an increasingly variable weather patterns in our province. And islanders want us to respond to that, and islanders themselves are responding in many ways, including shifting to cleaner energy. We will continue to combat the negative effects of climate change without placing the burden on the backs of islanders, and we will continue with the engagement of islanders to show climate leadership. And I might say in closing that with a net impact of $7.3 million to Prince Edward Islanders and their livelihoods with the approach that we have resolved on and were required to arrive at by the federal government, at $7.3 million, that would compare with two other approaches that have been put forward in the province, one by the Progressive Conservatives, who would, by any understanding, have volunteered for the federal backstop on the order of $46 million, and further would have joined in litigation with other Conservative provinces at a further cost to taxpayers, a litigation that has a very slim chance of being successful, and that would ultimately have been a further cost to Prince Edward Islanders. And the reason that the backstop would be imposed in that scenario is because there is no plan. In the case of the Green Party, they too would have been putting forward through an in-province scheme, as best we can understand it, a further $46 million in taxes on islanders. And my best way of describing that, and I said I do so deliberately, it's a combination of green tape and funny money. So those are my comments, and Minister Brown will follow up.
Thank you, Premier. And I want to start by saying I want to thank the Premier for his leadership on this file. Since coming to the Premiership, the Premier has shown tremendous leadership when it comes to the environment, but he also tremendous leadership in protecting taxpayers against tax increases. Over successive years, islanders have no apologies to make when it comes to greenhouse gases and climate change and the environment. Islanders are committed to making changes to help the environment and to reduce greenhouse gases, and they are a leader in this country. We are looked upon by every other province for our procedures we do and the programs we have in place by other provinces. We show leadership each and every day as islanders. Islanders, as the Premier has said, any islander that goes to the shore or goes to the beach sees climate change each and every year and sees the effect of climate change each and every year. Our island is getting smaller because of climate change. And we have to work in order to make that as less as possible. We have introduced a number of bills and a number of plans over the years. We were one of the first provinces to introduce a climate change strategy in 2008. We continue to update that strategy, and we did update the strategy this spring with our climate change plan. And with the Premier's leadership on this file with the federal government, I can say that we saved the plan. The plan was in jeopardy. We would not have been able to proceed as fast as we were proceeding under the current plan. And what I mean by that, since 2011 Energy Accord, islanders have taken on the challenge of switching their homes from oil to clean energy. We are one of the leaders in Canada when it comes to that. We are also a leader when it comes to clean energy supply. We are one of the leaders in the country and in the world when it comes to our wind regime. A tremendous amount of our electricity comes from there. And those kind of initiatives, with the support of islanders, has reduced greenhouse gases substantially. We are already 10% towards 10% reduction in our greenhouse gases from the 2005 figures. And we will meet our targets, we will exceed our targets. But we saved the climate change plan, and that really will save the environment of Canada in our participation. One of the things, as the Premier has indicated, that we believe in is not taxing islanders for heating their homes. Heat in Prince Edward Island is an essential commodity, essential element of living here in Prince Edward Island. We need to heat our homes, and we did not want to tax islanders when they're heating their homes. Islanders work extremely hard to make their homes as efficient as possible, but in the end of the day, you still have to pay for oil. And this plan saves our principle of not taxing heating oil, which is very important to this government. And it will go a long way to assisting with the energy efficiency plan that Minister Bigger has presented and working on. It will make this even more efficient for homes in here on Prince Edward Island. In fact, islanders that switch to heat pumps usually save about $1,000 a year. So we're saving islanders from a tax, we're assisting islanders to switch fuels to a better, cleaner fuel, and we're saving islanders money. It's a win-win situation when it's here. And a rebate. And a rebate. Sorry, Premier. Yeah, one of the biggest things that was this year was the $10 million rebate to islanders through the electricity program. This is an incentive to put islanders to that. We are going to meet our targets. Our plan lays out a plan. The federal government of Canada recognized it. They recognized our plan. They recognized it as a good plan. And I think that's why they were willing to exempt home heating oils from this plan. There are going to be fuel taxes or fuel charges on diesel and gasoline, but we are going to mitigate those prices. And at the end of the day, this plan, this agreement will not cost islanders 1 cent. In fact, it will save islanders money, and it will make our contribution towards reducing greenhouse gases. We are a leader here. We don't have to take not a backstop, not a backseat to anybody in this country or in this world. We're known for our leadership. We've been known for our leadership in the past, and in today and in the future. So again, I want to thank the Premier for his efforts here. This file has been a lot of hard work, a lot of tense days, but I can assure each and every islander, this is a plan that will work for each and every person on Prince Edward Island and will save people money. Thank you very much.
The federal, we will be following the federal date, April 1st, as was revealed this morning. I should say, then, it's been quite clear on the face of it that this has been a moving train, even over late last week and into the weekend. And indeed, we learned this morning that it would be April 1st.
Monsieur le Premier ministre, en français, si possible, pouvez-vous m'expliquer pas entièrement content?
Mais nous sommes fiers de l'engagement des insulaires en réponse au programme que nous avons mis à l'avant. Surtout remplacer les sources d'énergie propres, remplacer des sources d'énergie qui ont des émissions, des effets de serre, avec des sources d'énergie qui sont propres. Et donc, on a jusqu'à date 2100 insulaires qui ont répondu et qui ont installé un heat pump. Puis, c'est évident que nous faisons du progrès et nous allons arriver et même surpasser nos objectifs en réduisant les émissions. La réponse du gouvernement fédéral a été qu'ils exigent, et c'est le mot, exigent un prix supplémentaire pour la transportation. Et donc, ils exigent qu'on suit la modèle fédérale au pont. Ce que nous allons faire est de donner une compensation ou de réduire les impôts provinciaux et par d'autres moyens retourner aux insulaires tous les revenus qui vont arriver à la province à cause de l'exigence fédérale. Et surtout que nous allons continuer sur la piste de répondre aux défis du changement climatique et que nous allons voir des résultats qui vont surpasser les attentes du programme national. Je crois que les insulaires pourraient être soulagés. Pour moi-même, j'ai dit et je continue à dire que je ne suis pas content dans le sens que j'aurais préféré que le gouvernement fédéral accepte nos programmes en totalité. Et, donc, nous sommes confiants qu'on aurait pu arriver au résultat désiré sans avoir ce prix supplémentaire. Non, ça va être l'aspect provincial, ça va être à la pompe. Puis, étant donné que le gouvernement fédéral exige un prix supplémentaire, avec la différence, on va consulter des insulaires pour arriver à une approche qui est tout à fait directe, qui est tout à fait transparente et qui résulte avec aucun revenu supplémentaire pour la province.
Just in English, then, is it all happening on the pump price?
No, and maybe I might even ask if I'm quite happy to answer. I'm going to let the Minister of Finance have a crack at this one.
Thanks. What we're trying to do is, or what we're going to do is, you'll see in the legislature that we'll raise, reduce the excise tax. So in January, well now April, which we found out, there's been an extension to allow service stations and retailers to adjust. But what will happen is we'll actually be raising it by 1 cent at the end of the day. So we're trying to minimize, and I beyond recognition that we're not satisfied with the outcome of all this. We fought really hard. We met the criteria that the minister put out, and we felt we had a really good opportunity here to lead the way and we lead the country. And anyway, they want a price on pollution, and we minimized that to say, well, we're not doing the 4 cents, 4.5 cents. We came back and said, we're going to do 1 cent. We also fought really hard, as Minister Brown said, and the Premier, on relevance to home heating. That was a big issue for us. We have to look and ensure our most vulnerable are looked after, and that's been a priority of ours since day one. So, and the other important aspect of this too is the 2-year outlook on this. We feel that islanders will step up, and we're seeing it now with over 21 heat pumps being put out there, which equates to 2.1 million liters of oil that we're actually saving. And that was also a consideration, along with the 10% reduction in electricity and the rebates on wood and wood pellets. So I think they took that into consideration. We still weren't happy, but I think we're at a place right now, along with fishers and farmers being exempt, we're at a place right now that we think we can deal with this. And it's like the Premier said, every cent that comes in here will be going directly back out.
And how will that go out?
It'll be going out, Kerry, as in programs that will be developed, similar to the heat pump program and programs like that. But we also, transportation plays an integral role in Prince Edward Island. We're a rural island. We're not downtown Toronto. We get no subways. We get no trains. So we have to realize that. People have to travel to get to work. They have to drive cars to get to work. So transportation and energy will be the 2 key components where we'll be doing the rebates.
So you're talking about, though, rebate, you're talking about kind of program spending, not a quarterly rebate in my pocket or anything.
Well, it could reflect into your pocket, essentially, yes. Yeah.
But that's otherwise that's funding that would come out of general revenues to pay for heat pump incentive programs.
This whole program is going to revolve around us. Every cent that comes in goes directly back out. The Auditor General, we're going to ask, and I'm not sure if we considered putting it in the legislation or not yet, but we're to that point in the discussion because this came down relatively quickly. that every cent that comes in goes back out to Islanders.
And maybe I can just
Yeah.
put a precise point on that, because we've had at points along the way, and it was an approach that we believe in. We said it would be fiscally neutral, which allows, you might say, for a combination of program spending and returning revenue to Islanders. We're now saying that it's revenue neutral, that this will be revenue neutral. It's not revenue generation for the province.
And all of that money will go back to taxpayers, not through program spending.
And then it's that vehicle that we're going to be working on, and the Minister of Finance will lead the way to ensure that it's the most efficient possible. Because one of the things, and I did say, make that reference to green tape, and I mean to go back to that. We are going to be looking for a design and for a vehicle that is the most administratively efficient, the easiest to understand for Islanders, and the most transparent to everyone to deal with this. And let's go back to the numbers that were used in the earlier comments. We're talking over 2 years about a total revenue of $7.3 million. That would have been slightly upwards of $46 million under the federal backstop. So there's a way of kind of seeing the how go back to something I said in French to Francois. I didn't say I'm relieved, but I think Islanders can and should be. I'm going to follow with another way of talking about this too, because it's something that I've been saying since the Paris meetings. It's a bigger thing than the taxation piece. It's the livelihood and the, frankly, ability to make other choices that Islanders will have and that they are making. So take those heat pumps. 2,100 heat pumps are saving 2.1 million liters of home heating fuel. That's not 1 cent a liter, or it's not 4 or 6.5 cents a liter. It's the full price of those 2.1 million liters of home heating fuel that Islanders have got left in their pockets to $3 million, and they're replacing it with electricity, which is also cheaper by $10 million, and they're getting a rebate of $1,200. So this is, and we're saving the planet. Well, at least we're doing our part, and I say that totally seriously. I mean, that's the ultimate objective, is to reduce those greenhouse gases and to do it on terms that aren't about punishing anyone. They're actually about getting ahead together.
Further to that, if I may, we just got the final details on this in terms of engaging with the transportation sector, engaging with fishers and farmers, engaging with Islanders on what is the best way that's going to make the biggest impact for them on those rebates. So, no, we don't have that all detailed out because, as we said, we found out the rest of it this morning. So we're not going to presume to know the best way, but we need to engage with that transportation industry. We have a transportation committee working on a strategy. We have an energy strategy, and we need to continue to engage that's going to make the best impact for those industries and for Islanders.
Earlier today, Prime Minister Trudeau, he suggested that previous efforts to combat climate change, one of the problems was that it was still free to pollute. Now, I mean, looking at the numbers, it sort of looks like the carbon tax burden would be pretty much lowest in P.E.I. than any other province. I mean, some people might criticize this approach as being, allowing it to be the cheapest way of polluting in Canada. I mean, do you think that would be a fair criticism?
Our focus, Stu, has been, and this isn't language, it's what Islanders are responding to has been that people will do more in response to carrots than sticks. And Islanders are doing that. We just spoke about the heat pumps. We've got work to do in the transportation sector. We are developing programs, we're rolling out programs, people are responding, and there are further opportunities that we're looking for in terms of technologies, of strategic investments, of working with community partners. There are lots of ways that we can envisage meeting our climate targets, and I believe we have the total support of Prince Edward Islanders to do that, and their engagement, and they understand, both from an environmental point of view and in terms of their livelihood and well-being, that we, and as Prince Edward Islanders, and I think we can all be proud of this, have been leaders in environmental stewardship and in clean growth. And we want to do more of that. And to my mind, we can do much bigger things and are doing much bigger things than by calling it a price on pollution. And that was really at the heart of our climate change plan.
Why do you think Prince Edward Island was able to negotiate kind of a lower tax burden when other provinces such as Ontario, Saskatchewan, or New Brunswick don't seem to have been able to?
I think our plan we presented in April to Islanders, and as the Premier has indicated, our plan of the carrot over the stick. If you weren't doing any other program, if you weren't providing incentives to Islanders or your citizen to convert to cheaper or renewable energy, then the carbon tax would work. If you weren't doing anything, if you wanted to take the easy way out and just tax and force people to move to other sources of energy, the carbon tax seems like a good program. I don't agree, because we have a number of programs in place that incentivize people to move to a cleaner economy. So I think Ottawa has recognized that PEI's got it right, and PEI is a leader. And that's why they negotiated with us over the last few days, and I must say this went right into Sunday. We've had meetings all weekend over it, and at the end of the day, Ottawa looked at it and said, you know, PEI's got it right. They've invested in wind when no one else was investing in wind. They've invested in energy efficiency when very few provinces were. They've engaged their citizens to think about the environment through energy waste plant we have, through the waste management system we have on Prince Edward Island. You know, we have nothing to apologize for here on Prince Edward Island. Each and every Islander is contributing substantially to reducing greenhouse gases. And we have to stand tall, each and every Islander here, because we have shown, not only Canada, but I think the world, the leadership that we're showing here is the best way to go. The carrot over the stick is working on Prince Edward Island, and I think the rest of the country will. And we also had a clause, or we negotiated a thing in our contract. If anybody else got a better deal, we wanted it. I think other provinces will be saying, I wish we had that clause, because we'd want PEI's deal. Thank you.
And year over year, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Normally in contracts, you see if there's a number of contracts across a certain bunch of sectors, you say, if anybody else get a better deal than me, if we're working in fairness and open negotiations here, if you give somebody else a better deal, we want that deal. Well, looking at our deal and comparing it across the country, I think a lot of other provinces will be coming to wanting PEI's deal, because it's the best deal out there.
Thanks very much, guys. We still get all the carbon funding from Ottawa?
Oh, great.
That's another thing, Terry.
That's a bonus. We get to keep it. Yeah.
No, that was on the table. I think the Prime Minister has made it quite clear, provinces that are doing, they have to do the backstop in, will be losing their funding under the Low Carbon Economy Fund. And, if we would have lost that fund, that's a $77 million agreement here in Prince Edward Island. That's one of the biggest carrots when it comes to climate change. And I want to thank the federal government for signing that contract. It was a tough negotiations, but we got through it. But at the end of the day, Islanders are showing leadership.
We've had a 240% increase year over year to date on the two programs that we're offering that Islanders are uptaking on, and I want to give credit to them for taking advantage of the programs that are there, and we'll continue to provide those for them. So.